member of the advisory board of Jamb. At the time, I was very active as chairman of one of those committees. Now, Jamb it's a rating agency. You know, after the pattern of what they do for university admissions in the United Kingdom called UCAS. So what Jamb does under Professor Oloyede is to help with the placements and maintain the standards. But with the particular issue of national colleges of education, the issue is about demand and supply. These NCEs are there, but what has been discovered is that most of the persons who apply for the UTME, everybody wants to go to university. So you have very low, demand for colleges of education. And then, of course, at the end of the day, they will have to make a choice if they don't meet up in terms of the space that is available. So the Jamb, having faced this over the years, now says, okay, you don't have to do UTME if you want to go to a college of education, but you must have the prerequisite requirement, 5 credits, right, of entering a higher college in terms of your educational advancement. But this does not mean that Jamb will still not be there. Jamb will still be there. Jamb will help to check that your qualifications are in order before you go to NCE. But the concern that has been expressed by NUT is that, oh, we don't want NCE colleges of education to be, a dumping ground for students who are not of a very high grade. The only takeaway that you can say there is that, yes, we need teachers who are among the best qualified, most qualified, and they should not be, people who do not perform very well. But if nobody wants to read education, if nobody wants to go to a college of education, and everybody wants to go to university or to the polytechnics, that in itself is a comment, not on the examination body, not on the rating agency, but on the structure that we have in our society, where a degree is, the almighty that everybody wants to get. Even if 80% of the people who get degrees these days are completely ignorant, taught also, for the most part, by teachers whose credentials may also be in question. But I agree with the argument that education is a sector where we should have the best and the brightest teaching and producing the best and the brightest for society, and not a dumping ground for average people. That, I think, is the original argument of NUT. But the question you should now raise is that we have a problem in terms of ratio, in terms of emphasis, in terms of how Nigeria prepares people for the labor market. What are the kind of talented persons, of the kind of persons that we want to put in the labor market? But I think that education is very important. Once upon a time in this country, the people who went into education, they were the brightest people who, in addition to being very bright, also stood in loco parentis. So how did we get here? And it is part of the collapse of values, of expectations, because in traditional communities, the teacher was a king. If you had, ordinary grade 2 teacher certificate or whatever, you were considered a very serious-minded person in society because you are the person who is going to help mold society. So I think that at a policy level, that's a major challenge. But it's not a Jamb that will say, okay, this is a ratio. I think that will be a major issue at the federal government level to see where the emphasis will be in terms of developmental purposes, particularly now that the world has become far more competitive than hitherto.